like a quick post-holiday reflection, okay? And I want to do a reflection because I feel like sometimes we skip this part, right? Either as soon as something has finished, we're like, yes, I did good, yes, I did bad, and then we don't kind of look back on it too much. And I think it's really important to reflect, not so much to dwell on the past, of course, because we can get stuck there, but reflecting in the sense that you need to know where you are at. You need to know if you've leveled up or not. You need to know who you are with evidence, not who you think you are based on how you feel about yourself, right? How you feel about how you did something is usually, whether a lot or a little bit, but it's usually pretty different from how we actually do, right? Feelings can be pretty deceptive. So I want you to master the art of reflection in a way that says, this is where I am, right? This is what I've done good at. This is how I've changed. And this is where I need to focus going forward instead of just a blanket, feeling I'm good, right? We don't want that. That's not really going to help us much. It doesn't give us much direction on where to go. And it doesn't give us much, constructive criticism on what to change, right? So that's what I want to do. And so let's take Christmas, for example, because Christmas just passed. And if you're watching this on a replay, you can pick anything that's happened to you recently. But I want you to think about the holidays that just passed. And in your mind or in the comments, I want you to say something that you did that you are proud of. Like yay me, go me. Either it would be something you did in the past or you didn't do in the past, something that that's changed, that's different. Okay, so what is it? I want you to think it. I want you to have this one thing. And if it jumped in your head right away, that's a really good sign. That means you are really, really proud of it. You have to think about it. It doesn't mean it's not there. If you have to think about it, it means you're not good at thinking good about yourself. That's what that one means. So practice that. But that's for another call. So think of the good thing, okay? The thing you're proud of. Now, in your mind or out loud or in the comments, I want you to say, thank you, and then your name. So thank you, Madison. Say your name. Thank yourself. Thank you. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge it in the moment. Sit with it. Don't say, awesome, I did great, and move on. Sit with it, okay? Now, opposite, okay? What's something you're like, I'm not happy with that. I could have done different. I know I shouldn't have done that. Or that's something the old me would have done. What's something that you've just recently done that you're like not super, super stoked about? Big or small? Big mess up or little mess up? You decide. And then I want you to have it. You can write it down in your head, wherever. And then I want you to say, I forgive you. And then your name. I forgive you, Madison. Whatever, and then put your name in there. So what we just did, very quickly, we showed gratitude and we showed forgiveness, right? Big, powerful words, big, powerful things. And the reason we do those two things whenever you're reflecting is for this reason. And this is what we don't think about. Because gratitude plus forgiveness is the perfect equation for objectiveness, not subjectiveness, right? So what I mean by that is when you are reflecting, when you are trying to get bearings on where you're at, right? Where am I in my journey? You want to be as objective as possible, right? And a lot of the times we're pretty damn biased and subjective, right? It would be like making a painting and then handing it to your mother and asking her what she thinks. Well, she's your mother. She's going to tell you she loves it because she loves you, right? Pretty biased, not much constructive criticism on how to do better. Same idea, right? When it comes to health and weight loss, we want to stay away from having those biases seep in without realizing it, right? Biases on how we do. If we think we do good when we really did bad, and we think we did bad when we really did good, right? It's kind of like something happens that triggers us and it brings a primary emotion, one heavy emotion, right? So think back to the last time you felt a strong emotion, positive or negative, right? When we get triggered for that intense emotion, we cling on to that emotion for a while until another intense one comes along. So if it's a positive emotion, it's a good thing, right? Because we can sustain that positivity. But if it's a negative emotion, we cling to it and we start to view everything through that emotion, right? And that's why a lot of the times, if you do make a little mistake and you hyper focus on it, you think you've had a horrible day, when in reality, you had one bad moment. But because you stuck to that negative emotion, everything else that happened after that was viewed through that one emotion, right? So what we have to do is kind of remove those biases, and we have to look at objectiveness. And we do that with gratitude and forgiveness. Gratitude acknowledges that we did do things well, and we are proud of ourselves and how far we've come. And then forgiveness allows us to leave what we were unhappy with in the past. Leave it and then look at it, instead of still being in it and attached to it, trying to change it when it's already gone, right? So now we can be objective, and now we can judge things, judge our performance, judge how we ate over the holidays, or what our mindset was, or did we feel guilty and not guilty? Did we get peer pressured? We can judge our performance based on the actions and the evidence that we created, instead of how we are feeling about it, right? Because feelings are not going to tell us what we should do next, right? Feelings are going to either convince us that we did really, really good and we just got to keep doing that, which could be true, but that's also dangerous, because then it could decrease that space between, I still have a ways to go and I'm slowing down because I think I'm okay. So that's the dangers of looking too good, right? And then, of course, on the other side, the negative, everything will be overshadowed. It doesn't matter how good you do or what little wins you have, everything will be overshadowed. So forgiveness and gratitude, okay? First and foremost, when anything happens, anything in life, you can even do this every day if you wanted to, right? Just reflect. What am I grateful for? What do I need to forgive and leave in the past, right? And then how can I look at where I am objectively, right? Where am I, right? If the bad things weren't bad and the good things weren't good, okay, taking good and bad and emotion and feeling out of it, how did I do? That's hard. We don't know the answer, do we? If I said you couldn't describe, let's say, Christmas dinner, if I said you couldn't describe how you did over Christmas dinner with the word good or the word bad, what would you say? Right? What would you say? You can say I did good or I did bad. What would you say? You'd have to go into specifics. Well, I took, 1 spoonful of mashed potatoes, right? I had maybe 2 extra pieces of pie. Like, you start getting specific, right? And then you have specifics to measure against, right? Because if last year you felt you did bad, and then this year you felt you did bad, well, I can almost guarantee this bad wasn't as bad as last bad, but we still described it as bad. So we are not acknowledging our growth. And if we don't acknowledge our growth, how can we measure our progress outside of just a number on the scale, right? Then we get hyper-focused. Then the scale dictates how we feel. And I want you ladies to have as many wins as possible. I want you to be so proud of yourself every day that, I ran up the stairs today. That's a win, right? I went outside and listened to the birds sing. I want everything you do in a day to be changed into a win, right? Because it is a win. Whether you actually did well or you did bad, both are wins, because one was proof that you're doing well. The other one is an opportunity to learn and change and do better. So everything's a win. And with gratitude and forgiveness and reflection, you're slowly going to train yourself to see that. And I do think we miss that part, because as soon as we label something, as soon as we label a performance of ours as good or bad, game over. You've already taken out the ability to jump in there and analyze it and find the specifics of what went well and what didn't, right? When you just blanket said good, bad, you kind of shut the book, but now we have nothing to measure going forward except words and feelings, right? And words mean something different every time we say them. And feelings, how fast do those change, ladies? Come on, right? We cannot rely on those to be the guiding light of whether or not we're doing well, right? So what I want you ladies to do is I want you to be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. I want you to be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. So those dead leaves could be something you weren't happy with. They could be someone not helping you. They could be an experience that you don't look back on with fondness. Let the dead leaves drop. What has happened has already happened. And thinking about it doesn't change it. And thinking about it also doesn't ensure that it doesn't happen again, right? So be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. Because ladies, we repeat what we don't repair. Listen to that again. We repeat what we do not repair. You will repeat something, a feeling, an emotion, a behavior, a thought. We will repeat them if you are not focusing on repairing them, on healing them, on forgiving yourself for them, on giving them meaning when they don't need meaning. You are the only one determining what is good and what is bad. As a coach, have I ever told you you did bad? Never, right? Think about it. Have I ever said, oh, that was bad? Never. Why? Because it's irrelevant. That word doesn't mean anything. When we use the word bad or poor or not happy or disappointed, discouraged, upset, that means you've already given that thing meaning. And when you've given it a negative meaning, it's very hard to turn it around into something else, right? And if you give something a negative meaning, you've now told yourself, I need to heal from this, right? If you've given something negative emotion, there has to be some type of healing to get rid of it, right? And that's just not necessary. You can kind of cut it off at the source by not giving it meaning in the first place, by not labeling it with a feeling or labeling it with an overarching negative thing, right? You just leave it what it is, right? Gratitude and forgiveness takes off the sunglasses so you can look at it objectively without the words and the emotions that label it. And then you can move forward. If you do not forgive and let go, you will carry it with you because you've given it too much thought. You've given it too much attention. And this is with food, it's with exercise, it's with things that aren't even health and weight loss related. When you give it attention, you've now let it grow into something it didn't need to. You've built up the problem in your head, and it's not a problem. Nothing is a problem unless you call it a problem. How powerful is that? It becomes a problem as soon as you start to look at it as a problem. Instead of, hey, life happens, I'm not perfect, this is just something I gotta deal with. Not, oh my God, this is a problem, I have to find a solution. No, maybe you just have to keep living. Keep going forward. Let it go, try again. Let it go, try again. Too many expectations of yourself because of the labels, because of those negative feelings. And if there's a behavior trait that you're noticing yourself either struggling to replace, struggling to let go, that rears its head every now and then, you're repeating it because it hasn't been repaired. And it's not repairing because you're giving it too much energy. Maybe time will just heal it by itself. Maybe just keep trying, just keep working, stop talking about it, stop thinking about it, stop harping about it, stop calling it a problem. You just keep doing you and trying. Maybe naturally it will go away all by itself because you didn't give it the time of day anymore. That's how much power you have. Nothing can stay a problem. And I mean that. And that's crazy that you can't even fathom the power of that in the moment right now. But it's very, very powerful. So I'm going to say it one more time. We repeat what we do not repair. What are you hyper-focusing on that's making you repeat things? If you're unhappy, you're repeating, you're not repairing. Okay? And the last little quote I want to share with you is, your wounds is the place where the light gets to enter. Your wounds are the places that the light gets to enter. Without these wounds, the slip-ups, the imperfections, the flaws, the things you view as problems, without your problems, there would be no light able to shine in. The wounds is how light enters you. Shines light. Shines a light where you need to be focusing. Are you listening? Are you ignoring? Are you trying to come up with your own crazy solution? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Let your wounds allow light in. Don't let them be the source of the darkness, because they very easily can be. Very easily can be. Okay, ladies? So, very quickly, I want you to take away that reflection is important. Not for the sake of harping on your past and, saying, shame on me. It's important to do an audit, a self-audit, an update on where you are in your journey. Once you're able to do that, you can then see objectively where you're at, because you give gratitude where gratitude's due, even in the smallest of areas. Because if you feed the gratitude becomes easier to see. And then life's a whole lot easier. When this becomes grateful for that, and you're that, and you're that, and everything's so good. But only if you practice it. So the gratitude will make life easier after you practice it. And then the forgiveness is how you start to repair the things that you've been repeating for so long. If you want to end that cycle, you got to let it go. You got to move forward. You got to be like a tree and let the dead leaves drop. Let the dead leaves drop. It's only a problem if you get to call it a problem, and the wounds are where the light gets to shine in. That doesn't sound like a problem to me. That sounds like an opportunity. So label it. Watch how you label it. All right, ladies? So there's some food for thought. Enjoy it. Really sit with it. I want you to really sit and be like, what have I been labeling a problem that I made worse by simply giving it the title of being a problem? What if it's just a thing that happens in life? What if it's just your thing to deal with? Do you think it will just heal with time if you stop focusing on it? Almost 99% of the time, yes. If you stop focus over here and you put focus over here to just enjoying life, being healthy, keep trying, almost every problem fades away. And it doesn't need to ever last as long as it has in the past.